O Lord, open our lips, and we will declare your praise. This morning we're looking at a fantastic psalm, Psalm 78, a psalm which talks about the history of Israel and explains the rise of David, the tribe of Judah, the city of Jerusalem, and the temple. As he begins, the psalmist says, I will speak with a parable. I will utter hidden things, things from of old. Just like Jesus did when he came. Jesus revealed the hidden things, things that were hidden from old. Jesus revealed in parables and explained to those who heard and we who hear today. The psalmist goes on and says, we will not hide from our descendants. We will tell the next generation. And here is the duty of every generation of believers, not only to reach their own generation, but to teach the next. We pass on to future generations that which we've learnt, mistakes also, so that they would not be like their ancestors, a stubborn and rebellious generation. It's better to learn from the mistakes of others. That's much easier than making your own mistakes. And the psalmist goes on describing God's relationship with Israel. Despite God's many blessings, they turned their backs on him. And so when they went into battle, they turned their backs on their enemies because he didn't help them. And then as you go through the psalm, you realize despite God's past blessings, they openly questioned his ability to provide for them, despite the fact that God had done so much for him, for the people of Israel. They still questioned his ability to bring them to the promised land. In spite of all this, they kept on sinning. In spite of his wonders, they did not believe. So he ended their days in futility and their years in terror. That generation never entered the promised land. They didn't fulfill their purpose because they didn't trust in the Lord. But then they would flatter him with their lips, lying to him with their tongues. Their hearts were not loyal to him. Even though they kept an outward style of religion, their heart was not right. We seek a people today who will keep their heart right with God. Even when he gave them the promised land, having delivered them from Egypt, they still rebelled against him and still put him to the test. And so God allowed their enemies to triumph over them. But then he raised up a leader, David. He appointed a place, Jerusalem, and his temple was built. At the time of writing, the psalmist believes that the king of David's line, the holy city and the temple, would keep the people faithful. We know better. Despite these things, his people were still unfaithful. So God has now promised a new king from David's line, a new temple, this time built of living stones, and a new city, this time coming down from heaven. Then the people he has chosen will be faithful to him. I trust the Lord will bless you as you read this psalm. Amen.